Back in that bag again. Whoa, yeah. Hey. Back in that, yeah.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Splash City Basketball Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Hartman. We've got an exciting show today. I'm bringing in my good buddy Tyler. We're going to talk about the Big Ten season, men's basketball, and what to expect out of one of the toughest, if not the toughest, league in college basketball this season. But first, I want to talk a little bit about the NBA. Last night was opening night. We're recording this on Wednesday, October 22nd. Last night, the OKC Thunder opened the defense of their NBA championship against Houston and the Houston Rockets. Double OT thriller, could be the game of the year on the first night of the NBA. Super interesting matchup there. Went to double OT. Like I said, Houston pushed the defending champs to the limit. Oklahoma City was without Jalen Williams, and Houston working in a new lineup, big lineup. Thompson actually started at point guard for them. But Minneapolis's Chet Holmgren got off to a hot start, ended up with fouling out Thompson. Really intriguing game there. Those two teams for sure going to be top 3 or 4 in the Western Conference. And then Golden State knocked off the Lakers in LA. No LeBron. Luka puts up huge numbers. Can't get the W. Really interested to see how Golden State handles Al Horford this year. I think he's going to be he's kind of a replacement for Kevon Looney, who went elsewhere this offseason. And Golden State they do what they do, man. They're tough and they move the ball. Steph gets going when he's not on the floor. Jimmy had 31, I believe it was. And Golden State, yeah, they look good. And outside of losing Steph in the playoffs last year, they had a decent chance to knock off the Timberwolves in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs last year. So as we speak, as I'm recording this, the Wolves are tipping off in Portland. And, all this talk about Ant's mid-range game, his post-up game, his physique and all this stuff. But, the Western Conference is loaded. Even looking at Portland, who's going to be a bottom feeder, man, they have some interesting players with Shaedon Sharpe, Donovan Clingan, Jeremy Grant, Drew Holiday is there now. And so just, even Portland is not going to be a pushover. And it's really exciting. So with that, let's take you over to the Big Ten preview with my buddy Tyler. Thanks so much for joining. This is the Splash City Basketball Podcast. All right, let's talk Big Ten basketball. I'm excited to have one of my best friends, Tyler, here. Tyler and I coached together for years at a local high school here in the Twin Cities, and we've been talking hoops for almost 15 years, I bet, at this point. Made a few trips out to Las Vegas for March Madness together, and excited to have you here, Tyler. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, super excited. Thanks, Steve. Shout out to you for making this happen. You've been talking about doing a podcast for a long time, even back when we were in the actual coaching trenches. Long nights on those bus rides. I don't know how we did it, man. You don't get home till 11 o'clock. You got to get up at 6 o'clock, and it seems like another life. But happy to be here and talking hoops with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow, those were good times years ago, and now we just get to talk about it. We're not breaking it down necessarily at the high school level, rocking film sessions and all that kind of stuff.
All the technology that's out there today too.
Oh,
how deep
easy.
You can get into it, man. You can get into it.
Yeah. Huddle could just do all that stuff for us now, do all the stats. We wouldn't even need any statistician named Tate, but it's a good thing we had him back then.
Hey, he was the GOAT.
He was the GOAT. All right. So we got a lot of teams. We got a lot of ground to cover in the Big Ten. We're probably not going to spend too much time on everyone, but we did want to talk through a few things that hopefully listeners will find interesting and just give you some viewing updates on who you should be watching, what teams should be of interest as we enter the season. So preseason media poll came out. Not really a big surprise for those who pay attention to it, but Purdue is the clear-cut favorite according to most polls that I've seen, including the national polls. They're number 1 or 2 usually in those as well. Coming off a Sweet 16 run, they have All-American Braden Smith. They have Trey Kaufman-Renn back and Fletcher Lawyer back from the team that took runner-up a couple years ago. Actually looked into this. They have 69% of their minutes returning from a year ago, 8th most in the country and far higher than the next highest high major program, which is actually UConn. So a lot of continuity coming back for Purdue. Matt Painter's, I would say, like on fire. I mean, growing up, Gene Cady, right? Purdue was always good. They were perennial power, but this run that Matt Painter's on is really, he's really on one right now. And I think a big part of that is Braden Smith. So preseason player of the year candidate, All-American candidate.
They're going to be
just
battle tested here too, because we got 6 total teams ranked in the top 25 preseason. So they're gonna see some good teams throughout the year, especially late in the year. So that's gonna help them too.
Yeah, and I think if I remember right, I haven't dove deep in their schedule, but they usually schedule a monster schedule, and I think they have this year too. And looking back to last year, that matchup they had with Houston, I watched some videos. I think it came through Instagram, but just about how Braden Smith handled Houston's defense better than anyone all year, and how they like to trap the ball screens, and he just like toyed with them and gave them a real shot, right? Like Houston was close to winning a national title, and Purdue gave them a heck of a game. And so, like, just returning what they do, I mean, that seems like to me they're kind of on a collision course with Houston again in a championship this year, if all goes well for both of them. But they're a juggernaut for sure.
Yeah, I think this is a case too where Nil might have helped keep a kid in college too, because Braden Smith, he's one of these guys now. Add him to the list, they feel like he's been in college for 15 years. But if you're going to be ranked preseason number 1 and you're the level of talent he is, of course you're coming back. So Matt Painter's got to be feeling pretty good going into the year.
Yeah, my only question, and I feel like they kind of got over this hump a couple years ago when they got bounced as a 1 seed in the first round. Next year they come back into the championship game, but now, I mean, they're back to this like huge pressure, right? And I don't think Painters shied away from it. I don't know that the players are shying away from it. They're sort of embracing it, but sometimes I do worry about programs that haven't got to that level yet, haven't won a title. The coach hasn't won a title, and now they have all this expectation on them. I mean, obviously they're a veteran group, and it shouldn't really bother them, but it'll be interesting, I think, to see how that plays out. One of the things that they did add to their team this year, they didn't lose a ton of starting minutes, but they added Oscar Clough, who's a big man down low. He's from South Dakota State, actually. So some local fans of SDSU and NDSU see them play a lot will recognize that name. So he'll help make them even bigger. I think he's 6'10", 6'11", so they'll have some size with him and Kaufman-Renn. Yeah.
Can Purdue get bigger?
I don't know, man. It seems like everyone in the Big Ten somehow got bigger, which is a great transition. Let's talk about Michigan. So they're kind of 1B if Purdue's 1A. A lot of polls have them in the top 5, top 10 for sure. They're number 2 in the Big Ten media poll. They lose Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden, both 7-footers. And what do? They bring in Yaxel Lendeborg, who is, by all accounts, the number 1 transfer guy in the country this year. So I think the other night they had a scrimmage or a exhibition game, and he dropped like 33 and 11 or something. So I mean, Michigan just reloaded as well. But Dusty May is on his 2nd year with them, so it'll be interesting. They added also a 7'3" kid from UCLA in the transfer portal. So to your point, Big Ten just gets bigger.
So let me ask you this: so in the day, we live in the transfer portal world. Is it Dusty May going into his 2nd year? There's a lot of coaches that have been coaching at a team like a Matt Painter that get tons of new guys. So, is it a huge disadvantage to Dusty May only being his 2nd year? I think 20 years ago that might have been the case, but now I think all coaches, regardless of how long you are there, you are adjusting on the fly. So it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I mean, I actually heard, I think it was the Eye on College Basketball podcast. They were talking about how used to be like as a coach, being a recruiter was a big deal, right? Like you had to go into homes, you had to be out there on the trail, at high school games, and now it's basically like write the check, they either sign or they don't, and that's all that at this point, and Michigan they have purse strings, right? Like they got money, so I'm sure it's easier for Michigan. Even it doesn't matter. He's a second-year coach, really. I mean, they brought in one freshman this year, guard who's supposed to be good, Trey McKinney. But otherwise, it's like, well, let's go pick off the mid majors, pick all the best players there,
Right.
write the check, and get them in.
Yep.
So,
Michigan's
the other
going to
guy.
be. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, go ahead. No.
Oh, I was going to, because I mentioned Purdue's going to face, or Michigan's going to face the same gauntlet that Purdue is. 5 of their last 7 games, at least for now. Now, a lot can change between now and February, but 5 of those last 7 games are against ranked teams. A couple of them even in the top 10, including number 1 Purdue. 2 of those on the road, 1 at a neutral site. So we're talking about the 2 best teams in the Big Ten going to be tested throughout and possibly going into postseason play being ready to roll because they've already seen that high-level competition.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Which actually I was going to save this for later, but now it seems like the perfect time. Actually, we're going to hold it. We're going to hold this till the end. There's a teaser. Everyone's got to stay till the very end. I got it.
That's what we got
to talk about this. Yeah. It's called the tease. I'm a professional. Another guy that interesting for local fans, Will Cheddar's back. You talked about Braid Smith being the guy who's been around forever. Will Cheddar's the new Evan Eschmeyer. I mean, I think he's on his 5th year there at Michigan. But he'll be a bench guy again for them. Elliot Cadeau, transfer from UNC. He's going to push the pace for Michigan. So they have some athletes. They're not as plodding as they were last year. Vlad Golden and Danny Wolf were a little bit slower. They're more athletic. They're going to be fast. So it'll be interesting to see that kind of morph, I think, in year 2 for Dusty May. Let's talk about Illinois a little bit. So I think a lot of people kind of project Michigan and Purdue, the top 2. And then the next group, there's usually a mix of Illinois, UCLA, Michigan State, and maybe Wisconsin's in that group. We'll get to them later. But I enjoy watching Brad Underwood's teams. I like the way he puts teams together. Now he's gone the European route. I think he's locking down the Balkan borders and pulled in a bunch of guys from Europe. But he seems to me to be talking about size in the Big Ten is a common theme. But they brought in Ivisic from Arkansas, who's 7'2". His brother's Tomislav Ivisic is 7 feet tall. So they got those 2 right there that are over 7 feet. They got this Serbian, I don't know how to say the first name, but Petrovic he's 6'9". So apparently he's just incredible. So last year they had Kasparis Yakachonis, who's in the NBA now. And I mean, it's just like crazy how many of these European guys he's getting, because in Europe, they're playing professional ball at 15, 16 years old. So they know how to play. They're physically tough. I just think Illinois is going to be maybe like they are every year where they're good, but they're not great. But I mean, if things fall right for Illinois, they could be pushing Michigan and Purdue, and they could be pushing for a Final Four berth.
They've always got tough guards. Illinois always has. Backcourt is always strong.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's got a senior, Kylan Ball, as well. Last year, Ty Rodgers was hurt all year, but he's 6'6". Played 38 games the year before. So, I mean, like, they're just – and then they brought in Peja Stojakovic's kid, 6'7" guard who can score at all 3 – I mean, I don't know, man. I really like Illinois' team.
Is he a freshman?
No, he's a junior, I think.
Okay.
I know he played last year at Cal. I thought he was a sophomore last year. So, yeah, I mean, I almost would put Illinois in that. I think they are just as good as Michigan. Maybe not quite at Purdue's level, but pretty darn close.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about some of the other teams. We got to talk about Wisconsin across the border. Half their rosters from the Twin Cities, so we always have to bring them up on the show. But
Getting them
Last year
back
they
in the
kind of,
football area, though. Minnesota's starting to steal some Wisconsin football recruits, so we just
yeah,
gotta,
well, it helps
you
when
know,
you win the games. The basketball
I
team
suppose
doesn't beat Wisconsin, so.
that's true. That's true.
Plus, I think those Lakeville North kids just like wearing red and white, and they don't want to change. They don't want to do anything, so they just go to Wisconsin. It's just easier.
There's
But Nolan
something
Winter,
about that
so
pipeline
7-footer,
there.
Trevor Winter's kid, right? Like he went to the U of M. Nolan Winter, his son, goes to Wisconsin. He returns. John Blackwell returns. They have a former St. Thomas player who went to Virginia, Andrew Rohde, 6'6" guard. He's back. The big acquisition, I think, for Wisconsin is Nick Boyd, who was at San Diego State and actually went to the Final Four with them. So a lot of people are talking about John Blackwell, but I think Nick Boyd is going to make that backcourt really good. Wisconsin's, they're Wisconsin. They're going to be in it, right? They're going to be top 6 in the Big Ten. They are every year. They added some more size to help with Winter. Let's go through the other Minnesota guys on this roster. Braden Carrington, Park Center from Minnesota, Tulsa, Wisconsin. I don't know. I mean, he was a pretty good defender. His offense is super hit and miss. So I don't know how much time he's going to get over like a guy like Jack Janicki, who from White Bear Lake, who played a lot last year as in a reserve role. I feel like those two kind of, I don't know if they cancel each other out, but they kind of will take minutes from each other because Carrington's not a true point, and neither is Janicki. So they'll be kind of reserve guards for them.
I think
But
he was originally a walk-on too. That's pretty impressive
yeah.
because he had
Yeah. And I
some.
think you saw him play a little bit in high school, right? And he was
Yeah,
always
I
filling it
watched
up.
quite a bit
Yeah.
of him, and he was kind of a guy that might have gotten bored at times at the high school level, and then all of a sudden he'd be like, "All right, I'm going to turn it on," and you were like, "Holy cow, this guy's the best player on the floor." And when I heard that he was walking on at Wisconsin, I was like, "Man, he could have gone a lot of places and been the guy right away. I wonder if he'll even play." And look at that, he's going to
Yeah.
be a very solid player for them. It's a fun
Yes.
storyline there.
Yeah, yeah. And then they also have a 6'4" Jack Robinson, also from Lakeville, who will probably be in like that, later rotation spot. But they're pretty solid. I think the biggest storyline from Wisconsin on my end is the return of Brad Davison, everyone's favorite Wisconsin Badger player. Um, so he's back on the staff working with the team. My question is, how many fake charges, fake hustle plays will they add just because he's on the coaching staff? I mean, that's got to be 2 charges a game, right?
Or technical fouls too, You can get a bench
Oh
technical.
man, that was, yeah. He was, when he chose Wisconsin, I was super bummed because that was the year that Minnesota had the Champlain Park kid who went to Colorado. Davidson went to Wisconsin, and then we ended up with Jelly Roll, I think, or Jelly Fam, whatever his name was. Big
Unfortunately,
miss
that was
there.
the demise of Patino.
Yeah. Um, let's see who else we want to talk about here. Indiana, new coach Darian DeVries brings his son Tucker from West Virginia. Tucker hardly played last year, injury prone, or not injury prone. Sorry, he was just hurt last year, so he only played a few games. They do bring in a big time scorer from Sam Houston State who averaged 20 points a game. So Indiana is one of those teams that I look at. I'm like, they're preseason number 10. I could see them being kind of, elevating that to like 7, 8. I could see them falling down and not being quite as good. I know they got a highly touted freshman in Trent Sisley, but Indiana's a tough place to coach. I feel like they've gone through coaches like crazy through the years and some really good ones. Tom Crean, I was looking back and there was some, like, Tom Crean was in the tournament. They were finishing top 3, 4 in the Big Ten every year. Wasn't good enough. And ever since then, they've been getting a little bit worse and worse and worse. So is it like all their money's going to the football program now? Do they have money for the basketball program? I'm sure they do, but
I just feel like
Indiana's an
though
interesting job.
Indiana is a basketball state though. I know
It is.
college football is the driver of the money train, but I'd be shocked if the focus switched to football. But you're right.
Yeah.
Like ever since Man, I can't tell you what year, but I know I was in high school, so early 2000s, they were top team in the country, and then all of a sudden you're like, man, what happened to that place?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Mike Davis, 2002, they lost to Maryland in the championship game. So,
yeah.
and it's kind of been a struggle to get back to that level since. UCLA, also an interesting team. A lot of projections have them in the top 4, maybe a top 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're preseason ranked number 3, according to the media poll. I think a big part of that is adding Donovan Dent from New Mexico, former Richard Pitino guard, averaged 20 points a game, 6 assists in the Mountain West, was the player of the year. I mean, he's a big time player. I mean, just think about the guards right now in the Big Ten. Like, it's crazy how good some of the guards are. So Donovan Dent, Braden Smith, um, Boswell at Illinois, Elliott Cadeau at Michigan, and there's like a Jackson Shellstead at Oregon we haven't even talked about. Blackwell was, I mean, the talent in the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten this year is kind of a little bit like what the SEC was last year, where it's like a bunch of older guys, super deep teams, tons of tournament teams. It is just going to be a battle every night, and UCLA will be right in that mix. It's weird to talk about them in the Big Ten, though.
Well, it helps. Well, just to not to deflate your point, but it helps when you have 18 teams in your conference, you know?
True. Right. Yeah, that's
So,
true. I think they had 8 tournament teams last year. So most projections I've seen have them at least 10, 11. So we'll see. But
and Mick
Oregon,
Cronin, Mick Cronin is top 3 scariest coaches in America, man. Like, if that guy is yelling at you in a practice, I wouldn't want to be that player. So that guy's
yeah,
got some fire. His teams are always ready to fight. Not physically fight, like fight in the game.
never
So,
know.
yeah.
His rants on the travel last year were outstanding. So I'm hoping we get more of that. Maybe they'll like have him go to a Rutgers on a Thursday and then back
Oh
home on a
man,
Saturday game just to fire him up, because those are outstanding
I don't
rants.
want to take that phone call, man. Big Ten commish and having to listen to
Yeah,
that guy go at you.
yeah. Um, Oregon, they were a 5 seed last year. Minnesota beat them at home, so they're kind of a crazy team. Dana Altman's been there a while. He's got a couple of great returners. He might have, like, outside of Purdue, maybe the best returning combo with Jackson Shellstad at guard and Nate Biddle and down low. Biddle averaged 14 and almost 8 rebounds a game. So those two alone, if they can stay healthy and they're solid, like they're going to be good. They'll be in the mix too. Like, they're going to be in that kind of second tier. I know they brought in again, like everyone else, right, a bunch of transfers, but Oregon seems like one of those teams that's a little sneaky. Kind of forget about them, and then they're always in that 4, 5, 6 seed in the NCAA tournament, making it to the second round. So
Yep.
um, let's talk about Wisconsin, or sorry, not Wisconsin. We already did that. Iowa, new coach Ben McCollum brings with him Bennett Sturts from Drake, which on a previous pod I talked about how if you're a coach at Drake, you're going to the Big Ten. Like, that's just a done deal. DeVries was there, Medved was there. Now we got Ben McCollum there. What to expect out of Iowa? I'm not sure. I feel like they're a little bit overvalued in some of the preseason polls. Have them at 8 in the Big Ten. To me, seems super high considering total roster turnover. Ken Pom to start the year has him at 13th. Torvik has him at 10th. That's probably where I would probably slot him, more like in that 10, 11, 12 range. But McCollum's won everywhere he goes, man. 31-4 last year at Drake. Super slow pace, so very different from Fran McCaffrey. I think it'll be interesting to watch Iowa this year and just see how Bennett Sturts and some of these former D2 players who were played for McCollum transition to the Big Ten. Let's see. Last one in kind of this group that I want to talk about is Maryland. Buzz Williams takes over for Kevin Willard, who went to Villanova. Brought with him Cottage Grove's Pharrell Payne from Texas A&M. And Maryland, man, I really like Buzz Williams as a coach. Like, this is one where I'm the opposite. So I feel like Iowa and Maryland can almost switch. Maryland in the preseason polls is 13th, but man, they they're always tough. Buzz Williams teams are always tough. They're going to beat you up on the glass. They're physical. They're big. So I don't know. I feel like Maryland's kind of getting undersold a little bit this year.
He's a guy that it's surprising how much he's kind of bounced around. I get the move to Maryland. You want to be in the Big Ten. But he just seems too good of a coach to have moved that many times. So that's kind of something that stood out to me about his career.
Yeah, he was at Virginia Tech and was doing well, and then
I went to
bolted for
Marquette,
A&M.
I think, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was Marquette too. Yep. Yeah.
And I feel like
I feel
Marquette was solid when he was there, and I think it was the move from there to Texas Tech that was like that team's. I didn't think he was struggling enough at Marquette to warrant that,
No.
and I was like, I don't know. That was a weird change, but now he's back in the Big Ten, so
Yeah.
so we'll see how he
The
handles
Big
this
Ten
stage.
suits him. I think the Big Ten suits his style. Like,
He's a guy like you Mick Cronin I'm scared of. Buzz Williams, I'm like, this guy's crazy, but you want to play for him. Like he seems super positive, always got his players back. Not to say other coaches don't, but
yeah.
But there's a difference in his fire, I feel.
Yeah. One team we haven't talked about yet, which is crazy at this point, to not hit on them, but Michigan State and Ohio State actually too. Both of them. Preseason had Michigan State at number 6. They went to the Elite 8 last year. Jace Richardson's gone. Trey Holloman from Cretin-Derham Hall, he's gone to NC State now. So really the backcourt is Jeremy Fears. They brought in a transfer from Samford. Otherwise, they returned Colin Carr, Jackson Kohler, Carson Cooper. So they returned their front court. I'm not sure what to make of that. I think some of their success late last year was kind of this return to Izzo ball, right? Like more just killing on people on the glass, rebounding. I remember that Michigan State Illinois game where Michigan State just dominated the glass against them and kind of ran away with the Big Ten last year. So it's weird to doubt them with Izzo there, but something just tells me like I don't think they quite have the guards this year to truly compete in the for the first round bye in the tournament, Big Ten tournament. I mean, I'm sure they'll be good. Maybe 6 is right where they should be, but just not sure how I feel about Michigan State right now.
It's been a while since you thought that, I bet. Like you're unsure of how Michigan State will be. So
well, like you said, they added 4 more teams. That's part of it. 2 of them are probably going to be above.
But Tom
Michigan
Izzo
State,
is Tom Izzo, so he finds a way.
Yeah. I mean, they had the year where they had Cassius Winston, right? A couple of years with him where he was that veteran guard that Izzo loved. And last year, Jace Richardson and I would say Holloman to some degree too, provided some steady hand for them. But I mean, no offense. I like Jackson Kohler and Carson Cooper's okay, but like those aren't real athletic bigs. Like Izzo's best teams usually had like a Xavier Tillman or Draymond Green or like those guys aren't, there. I don't know. I feel like in the Big Ten, the way we were just talking about the size of some of these teams, and they're not just big, they're super skilled, athletic guys. I don't know how Michigan State's going to hold up against them. Ohio State, the only real thing I wanted to talk about with them was Taison Chatman from Totino-Grace is back healthy. So I'm hopefully he was a big recruit coming out of high school, and I hope he can stay healthy and contribute for them. I would love to watch him play for the Buckeyes. They're picked to finish 9th in the Big Ten, but Jake Diebler's kind of in a, I don't want to say like do or die type of season, but he was interim coach. Everyone got all excited. Now they've just kind of been, but they do have Bruce Thornton back, Devin Royal back. So most people have them in the tournament this year. So we'll, I'm not super high on Ohio State, but they're also probably going to be good just because their talent is good. So, okay. So Nebraska, can talk about them a little bit, but they're picked finish low. They got Rink Mast back after missing last year to injury, and he torched BYU in their exhibition game the other night. So I think Nebraska could be, they could be all right. But otherwise, I wanted to talk about Rutgers a little bit because this is a team that just floors me. Steve Pikiell had a couple of seasons where they go to the NCAA tournament, they break this drought. They look like they're really building something, and they lose a bunch of guys to the transfer portal. They kind of fall off. Then he brings in 2 top 5 NBA picks, and they don't even make the NCAA tournament. And now this year they're picked to finish like 17th. And I can't figure out like this team. Like when he has talent, they're terrible. When he had less talent, they were still, I mean, they had some, they were decent, but they were grittier. They were kind of tough. It's just, I don't know which way they're going to go this year. And it's weird talking about like a team that's picked 17th in the Big Ten, but like, they fascinate me.
That sounds like a case where the donors were like, all right, we're going all in. Let's get them some talent. And then they watched that season. We're like, we're not doing that again. Sounds like
Exactly.
The Pole Lads and the Twins, man.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Like they got a couple guys. You still didn't get to the tournament. You weren't that good. So why would we give you more money to bring in more players if you're not going to do anything? Yeah, I don't know. He might be on the hot seat there. All right, let's wrap up. I got a couple of thoughts here. I was teasing this earlier. We talked about the gauntlet that the Big Ten is. We talked about how good Purdue and Michigan should be, and probably Illinois. Is this the year that the Big Ten breaks the national title drought? They haven't won a title since 2000. They're 0-8 since then in title games. Is this the year, Tyler? Does the Big Ten get it done?
I mean, I know we have the number 1 team right now, but you made a really good case for Purdue staying strong, but man, other than them, I don't know. I'm a betting man, Steve. I bet I would not put my money on the Big Ten to win the championship this year.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, you got the field versus 2-3 schools. It's tough to pick them, but I think, what usually wins in March is guards, and Purdue's got maybe the best one. So it'll be, I think this is probably the best chance just because there are multiple teams.
Yeah, I agree with that. This is probably one of their better chance years, but there's been, and that tourney is a whole nother beast. So
yeah, it is 6 games, man. All right. Well, with that, I think we'll wrap up. This is super fun. Excited to talk Big Ten hoops when the play actually starts. A couple weeks. We're less than 2 weeks away. So, Tyler, thanks again for coming on and talking Big Ten hoops. We'll do it again soon, buddy.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Steve.
All right, that's the show for today. Thanks to Tyler for coming on, talking Big Ten hoops. I'm excited for the college hoop season to get rolling here on November 3rd. A couple more exhibition games that maybe we'll talk about. I'm going to try to hit up the Gophers versus North Dakota this Saturday, but scheduling conflicts may occur there. But there is some hoops on if you can find, like Big Ten Plus has some exhibition games that if you want to watch those. Otherwise, the NBA is kicking off. More games tonight. I'll talk about the Wolves and how they've looked to their first couple games on the next episode. Thanks again, everyone, for listening. Share with your basketball-loving friends. Subscribe, like, share, leave a review, leave a comment, whatever. But I appreciate you being here. I appreciate Tyler hanging out and talking Big Ten hoops. There's plenty more hoops to come. Hope to see you on the next episode. This has been the Splash City Basketball Podcast.
Back in that bag again. Whoa, yeah. Hey. Back in that, yeah.